Hello, besties. What's up, bestie? Hi, bestie. How are you, bestie? Hello. So I understand I look like complete and utter garbage. We're gonna pretend I don't. I just crawled out of bed. I've been spending the entire morning editing because I have a shit ton of editing to do. And I'm trying to get to it and it's just been a struggle. I don't understand why. Normally I'm pretty fast at editing. The last little bit I've just been so freaking lazy and I get so distracted. But I am getting ready to go to the gym right now. And I had the urge to vlog for some reason. So here we are. I'm actually going to be telling you guys a story today. It's not really going to be a vlog. It is, but it isn't. The story is a little bit of an interesting one. I also only have about 10 minutes to tell it to you guys, but we're going to try and do that. Basically, this story dates back to when I was actually in grade 7. So I'm now 22. I'm graduating college next month. And it's when the creepy cat boy from school, and if y'all know who I mean by the creepy cat boy, I mean, it's the kid that would hiss at people in the hallways. He brought his Beyblades to school and would sit there in the middle of the hallway and like play them, and it's like, you can't be here, you're in my way, move. But he would still do it anyways, and he would hiss at you anytime he saw you. Yeah, it was that kid. And like when I was in like grade 5, I think it was grade 4, I was like low-key friends with him. And like, here's the thing, I was never friends with him. He was never my friend, but he had no friends. So in his books, I was his friend. Although he was never my friend, I was his friend because I'm a nice person, so that's fine. He decides that I don't need to live anymore. So here's the story to it. Basically, back in 2011, the Vancouver Canucks made it to the Stanley Cup final. And if you know anything about hockey, you know the Vancouver Canucks aren't the best. But I'm from Vancouver, and so my favorite team growing up, and I mean still kind of is because like I'm not really a hockey person, is the Canucks because they're the Vancouver team, they're the home team. And you know what? I support my home team. Just like I like Toronto Blue Jays because I'm from Canada and they are the only Canadian team. That's how it works. Vancouver Canucks were my favorite team. Everyone was super excited when they made it to the finals, except for this kid. Because we were all wearing like our jerseys and our t-shirts and everything to school, being excited and being supportive of, in a way, kind of our country and our province and our area. He does not like participating in stuff. He did not like being invested in things or being involved or being happy. Like at all. So when he found out that we were all excited and when we were talking about being excited and then we hoped they won, he didn't like that. So I remember I was sitting across from him and we're talking about it and he goes, if Vancouver Canucks win the Stanley Cup playoffs, if they win the Stanley Cup,
I'm going to cut you up with scissors.
I'm gonna kill you. And literally just flat out said that to me and I was like, ha ha ha. We're gonna call him Rylan. I'm like, oh haha, Rylan, like you're so funny. He had said stuff about that before. He had threatened to chop me with scissors before. He had done a lot of other morbid things. Now thinking back to it, he's probably like a psychopath, like a clinical psychopath or whatever, like actual, like he needs help. There's something wrong with him. Literally, physically, and mentally, he is not in the sane mind whatsoever. So kind of scary to think back to it now because this kid is not okay. Some other stuff that he did that I'm not going to talk about because like high-key trigger warning, and I'm not going to put that on the internet. If you do want to hear about some other stuff another day, I'll talk about some of the terrifying incidents that happened with the kid at school. One in particular that I think of that still low-key scars me. I should probably a lot more scarred than I actually am. But if you want to hear about that one day, maybe I'll do a full nother episode? I don't know what I'm trying to say. A whole nother video on that kind of stuff as like a separate thing so people can kind of be prepared for it. However, that's not for today. Basically, he was not in sane mind, and he said this, and I thought it was funny because, you know, oh, it's Rylan again, like, haha. So I went home and I told my mom out of, you know, guess what happened at school today? Like, how was school today, sweetheart? And I said, oh, haha, like, it was good, Mom. This is what happened. This is what Rylan said to me today. And my mom, being a noon hour supervisor, knows the kid. She's known him since I was in kindergarten. Like, we all have been to the same elementary school since I was young. So she knows all the kids. She was a noon hour. Like, she did field trips. So my mom knows everybody. And since she was a noon hour, she talked to her principal every single day. So it happened where I told her the night before, like the afternoon right after school. The next day she goes in for her shift as a noon hour. And she goes up to him and basically tells him what this Rylan kid had said to me and my friends. And so later on, because she told him at lunch, the day was almost over after that. There was only a couple hours left of school, so nothing happened that day. But the next day in the afternoon, in like the right before lunchtime, I get a call over the announcement saying, Jessica Folds, down to the principal's office, please. So I'm like, okay, what did I do this time? Like, am I being invited to another leadership thing? Are they asking me to do some sort of babysitting thing? Because I was in grade 7 and grade 8. I actually babysat for the elementary school for like their teacher, parent, SEA, what is it called? Whatever, like the student, parent, teacher thingy that like they brought their kids in and they had like a meeting and I watched the kids basically, me and my friend did, and we were just like babysitters for it, which was cool because they paid us like $20 an hour, which was freaking sick as like a child to pay that much money, but that was fun. But anyway, so yeah, I got a call down to the office and I was like, okay, well, like what could this possibly be about? Like I genuinely had no idea. So I went down to the office and I get pulled into the principal's office and sat down, and they're basically asking me all about the incident that happened 2 days ago. And I was like, ooh, okay. And they're like, yeah, so your mom told us about this situation and we kind of just want to get your side of the story and hear what actually happened. So basically, I had to go on about all the things he said to me that day, plus other days, plus who else he said stuff to. And basically, they got a list of about 20 people that he had threatened to either hurt physically, mentally, or just said some not so great things to them. And they basically all got called down to the office throughout the rest of the day and had to discuss the incident that happened with them as well. It was an interesting day. This kid was not at school that day. I don't know where he was, but he was not at school that day. So I'm guessing they probably like low-key suspended him or something until they figured out what was actually going on. Because I just remember like us all being called down and nobody had any idea except for me why they were being called down, because like I was told not to say anything, and so I was like waiting to say something until after they got back, because then obviously people would hear through the grapevine. But yeah, basically principal had to talk to all of the kids that had ever been threatened, had to tell all the different stories, had to basically complete a police report without us actually doing it, because we were like 11-year-old kids, like we're not going to fill out a police report ourselves. But it was like an incident that happened, that's something that could potentially be very, very dangerous. So they filled out like all this different information about him and completed like all these different things about it, and like it was a serious thing. Like we were children and this was like really deep, dark shit. No like child should ever go through this as a kid, but me being like the innocent, like always thinking the best of people, didn't really take a lot of it into consideration. I was just always kind of like, oh yeah, like it's fine, not a big deal, like he's just funny, that's just the way he is, not the end of the world. Well, it could have possibly been the end of the world. So that's what happened. The kid showed up at school a couple weeks later. He was gone for quite a while, so I low-key think he ended up going to like some sort of psychologist, therapist, mental hospital or something in that time frame, because he was gone for a while, and this was like towards the end of the year as well. Like I don't remember what really happened. I know that he was at our graduation stuff, I'm like 99% sure, but then at the same time I don't really remember that much about it. Thinking back to it, this might have something to do with some of my childhood trauma. I'm thankful that my brain likes to block stuff out though, so we're good on that aspect. But yeah, it was a interesting experience, and I mean, this kid ended up going to my high school as well. He was in all like the support classes and stuff and spent a lot of time in the counselor's office, but he just like wasn't there very often, and I think he ended up transferring. I don't remember graduating with him, so I'm like 99% sure he ended up transferring to a different school that you could do like part of it online, so he wasn't actually there in person. But this kid was a creep, and like I kid you not, still throughout like high school, he would hiss at people. He would be like a freshman in high school and he would have the audacity to try and hiss at seniors. And I'm like, dude, you're just asking to get yourself beaten up. Like, you do not sit in the hallway, play your Beyblades, block seniors' lockers, and then have the audacity to hiss at them. Like, I'm telling you right now, that's not going to end well for you. No and if or buts, you're going to end up shoved in a locker. This kid was also not a small kid, so like, he was large, and I just don't mean like, he was just like large. He was large built. He was wide. He was tall. He was like a large guy. He had that stature of, you know, he filled out a lot of space. And so for a lot of people, they were low-key scared of him, especially as time went on and we became like grade 9, grade 10 and stuff. We were no longer like these little like grade 8 kids, grade 9 kids. We got like, you know, actual humans. And the younger kids came into school, they were terrified of him. And like valid enough reasons, I would also be terrified of him. I low-key was, but also I was like, this is just the way he is. He's a silly guy. Like that's just haha funny. But it's not funny. Like in grade 3, my teacher literally told me to call him Kitty Cat Boy because he would hiss at me in the hallways. And my teacher knew it would upset me and my friends and it would like make us feel uncomfortable. So he's like, well, if he's hissing at you and acting like a cat, well then call him a cat. Which is probably not the best way of dealing with things and probably also kind of contributed to him being the psychopath he is. But at the time, being young and being scared and annoyed and being harassed by this kid who was like probably at least a foot taller than me and probably about 100 pounds heavier than me. I was just a little girl. He was not a little girl at all, or a little boy. He was a big boy. He was tall and large and scary for this little, whatever, 7-year-old girl. So I was like, okay, well, I don't like this. So my teacher literally said to call him Kitty Cat Boy and to say meow to him. Oh, you're hissing at me? Oh, well, are you being a kitty cat? Meow. Like, play back into his fantasy of him being a cat, I guess. And it probably didn't help him, but it did definitely help me and my friends because he did not like that, to say the least, and he stopped hissing at us because he knew if he hissed at us, we would then call him a feline. We'd call him a cat, and he was not all about that. So that ended that scenario. But yeah, that's a fun little story. I hope YouTube doesn't demonetize this because I could use every penny I could get because your girl's broke. I just bought a new car like a month ago, and I have not a lot of money. Actually, I have no money. On that note, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta meet Mackenzie in 18 minutes. I can't do math. So I'm gonna go. I love you all. If you did find this story at all entertaining, let me know. I don't know if it was entertaining for anybody, but it was part of my childhood trauma, and more and more of my childhood trauma is like resurfacing, and that's really fun. So I love you all. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace out. Like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Comment down below if you have any interesting stories. Yeah. Alright, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta go take my dog out to the bathroom before I leave because he's lying in my bed sleeping right now. Say hi, Lucky. I love you all. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace out.
Just think about it right now. Everything's okay. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life, underneath it all, everything's actually alright.